हरे कृष्णा रीना जी।
चलो वो क्लास में चलो।
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Lalit, there's a echo
Yeah,
in
yeah.
your
I'm
voice.
also trying to figure out.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it's coming from the iPad. It's okay now?
Still echoing.
Hold on. Okay, I'll join from the iPad later when we need it.
This is fine. This is good.
No,
Now
no.
it's
I
good.
was actually my iPad was next to me, but anyway,
Okay.
I logged off and I joined back from that when we needed it. Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. This is chapter 4 has some of the most well-known shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita. I think whenever I read it, I really enjoy it a lot. It's a chapter that I would really want all of you to read because it has all the shlokas that we've heard of from our childhood, right? When we used to watch the Mahabharata and so on and so forth. So it's one of my most favorite chapter from a shloka perspective, it's also very it's also very revealing from a perspective of why does Krishna come, who's he, is he like us, is he different than us. It teaches us the different kinds of people in the world, so it's a very very interesting chapter actually. So without further ado, let me share the screen. Yeah. So before we begin, I think let's do a little bit of a revision of chapter 3. I think some of you missed the second part of the session. So I always do a quick revision before I move to the next chapter. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Pravesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Che Krishna Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासी गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So last time I actually, if you've seen the YouTube link or if you've not, please go and see it. I actually explained the meaning of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I think another shloka that we've heard from our childhood. So do listen to it right at the start of the last lecture. I spoke about it. Anyway, so if you go to chapter 3, right, typically the acronym for chapter 3 was TREE, right? So T was about tyaga or renunciation, right? So basically, so about Krishna, Arjuna asked Krishna, right? What is better, Krishna? Should I leave everything and just go to the forest, or should I fight? So Krishna told him, Arjuna, you are a Kshatriya. It's better for you to do your prescribed duty of fighting, and that if you do it as an offering to God, you will gradually become purified and get eligible for knowledge or jnana, and then you can be renounced. You should not artificially renounce and go to the forest. So we saw some of the pictures and things I spoke about, sadhus who were smoking, drugs, and playing football, and so that's what happens when you artificially renounce or renounce before you get purified. You basically go astray, right? So basically, so Krishna told him that. Then we learned about the ranks of the yoga ladder, right? So somebody begins the religious practice with for gaining sense gratification. So they basically pray to Krishna and they say, Krishna, please help me get my wish. So basically that's what we call as karma kanda. Actually, I'll show you the rungs of the yoga ladder. Let me open the slide from the last chapter. So basically, people actually the religion begins with karma kanda, where basically we pray to God to get some material benefits or to get some sense gratification, right? But one step below karma kanda is atheistic life, which is like animals, right? They who do not thank God at all, overall. They just believe they are everything, they do what they do, and there is no belief in God, and they don't pray. Right, but religion actually begins with karma kanda. We spoke about this, right? But nothing wrong if you want sense gratification. But basically, Krishna says go through the karma kanda path. That means accept a regulated lifestyle of quota. So we spoke about the 12-13 quotas as well. I'd written it, and some of you taken screenshots on it. And then Krishna says once you do karma kanda to enjoy earthly or heavenly planets, gradually one gets fed up. And one understands that, hey, I'm not the body, I'm the soul, this life is limited overall. So then you get to the stage of what we call a nishkam karma yoga, which basically means that we have two attachments. We have one attachment to a work, like a Kshatriya, I want to fight, and the second one is attachment to fruits, that I'm the winner, I did it. So nishkam karma yoga, basically you give away the fruits to Krishna and then you do your prescribed duty. And when you give away the fruits to the Lord, you don't demand anything for yourself, right? So you only want purification for that work. So in Nishkam Karma Yoga we discussed, right? Who is a Nishkam Karma Yogi? So when you ask a Nishkam Karma Yogi, who are you? He says, I'm a God's servant. When you ask, what do you do? He said, I do God's work. Then you ask, how do you do it? He said, with dedication, commitment, sincerity, seriousness, and everything else, right? Then he asks, what do you do with the result? Then he says, I offer it to God. Then you ask, what do you gain? He says, my purification of my heart for the pleasure of the Lord. And so we discussed the examples of Arjuna and Hanuman as well. So when you do this Nishkam Karma Yoga, you gradually become purified and knowledge awakens. Then you come to Jnana Yoga, where one renounces everything and reaches the moksha platform, right? And beyond that, Jnana Yoga is Ashtanga Yoga, where people are doing very heavy penances to gain siddhis. Somebody wants to walk on water, somebody wants to eat fire, somebody wants to fly in the air. So basically, then people do Ashtanga Yoga, right? And beyond all of this, the highest is what we call as Bhakti Yoga, where your heart is engaged in love for God, and that is actually the ultimate platform, right? And basically, when your heart goes, all your senses, everything is engaged in Lord's service, and that is Bhakti Yoga. So this is what we learned about the rungs of the yoga ladder, right? We also spoke about the example that you're standing on a ground floor, you have a 50-story building. Will you go stairs by stairs, which is basically the rungs of the yoga ladder, or would you take a lift, which is Bhakti Yoga, and go directly to the highest form of spiritual realization, right? Then let me get back the slide. Then we spoke about E, which is exemplary karma yogis. So Krishna asked, Arjuna asked, who are how do I know who's exemplary karma yogi? And then Arjuna asked, okay, if I do Nishkam Karma Yoga and I become purified, then what? Can I renounce after that? Krishna said, no, you should set an example like Janaka Maharaj. And we discussed this example, how he was the king, but his heart was completely purified. He worked as a servant king to Krishna. And basically he said, everything belongs to Krishna, I'm just a caretaker. And we spoke about the example of the fire in the palace. When the fire happened, Janak Maharaj was hearing Krishna's katha. And everybody started panicking, and Janak Maharaj called his team, the minister and the soldiers, and he told him, go douse the fire. And he began hearing the katha again, because for him, he knew this anyway, everything belongs to Krishna. And he was at peace. He said, okay, I will continue listening to it, and my team will go and douse the fire. And so because he wasn't attracted by saying, oh, this is my thing is getting burnt out, my palace is getting burnt out, and so on and so forth. So it reminds that a person who's doing Nishkam Yoga is a more stable person. His mind, even in the toughest circumstances, remains stable. And we will go through many ups and downs in our life. But when you are on the platform of Nishkam Yoga, where everything you do, you're doing it for Lord and without wanting anything for yourself, then these ups and downs don't affect you. Right? So similarly, Janak Maharaj continued to do the work in his world and set an example of the king. Then Krishna actually gave his own example. He said, I am God, I have no duties. But I am accepting the role as a king of I'm accepting the role as a king of Dwarka, and I'm executing my duties. So you do like that, he said, right? So we discussed about how Krishna used to rule as a king, how he used to take care of his wives, 16,100 wives, all 108 wives, all of that, right? And then Arjuna asked him, we all are Krishna, we all have adamant desires in this world to do our own thing, what we want, without aligning with superiors or aligning with Shastra, as if we are forced, as if we are impelled by some force to do something. So then Krishna spoke about E, which is the enemy of the soul. Right? So Krishna spoke about the impurity in the heart. He said the greatest impurity in the heart is lust, and which transforms into anger when it is not satisfied. And then it transforms into greed when it is satisfied. Because the more you satisfy your lust, the more greedy you get. And it's like putting petrol into fire, it just keeps growing. So the more you satisfy lust, it becomes greed. When you don't satisfy, it becomes anger. So lust is the root cause of everything. And that's why he said lust is the enemy of the soul. So question is, why would Krishna call it the enemy of the soul? Because when there is lust, we act independently, we act whimsically, and it will not lead us to a progressive human life. Rather, it degrades us to a lower human form. So this is what Krishna spoke about, right? And then I think then basically Arjuna is asking a question. So for curbing lust, Krishna, what do I do? And that's where chapter 4 begins, right? Right. So the acronym of chapter 4 is EARS, right? EA. I see those acronyms are just for you to easily remember your chapters, right? And when you remember the acronyms and the word for it, then the whole chapter replays to you, right? So this is to help you, help it make easy for all of us to remember things when we are remembering the Bhagavad Gita or when we are rereading the Bhagavad Gita overall. And then we also want to apply it to our life, right? This will automatically start coming to you, right? Overall. So the reason this chapter, we are giving it the acronym EARS is because Krishna talks about hearing from hearing from parampara, which is Guru parampara, and that's why it's called EARS, right? It's all about hearing from Guru parampara, right? So E stands for eternal education, right? So Krishna says, right, to really curb lust, you need spiritual intelligence, right? And then, Arjuna asks, where do you get the spiritual intelligence and spiritual education? So Krishna says it has to be authentic, it has to be an authorized core, an authorized source. right? So even when you join a college, right, whatever college you join, engineering, commerce, medical, MBA, whatever, right, or even a school for your kid, right, you first check whether it is authorized or not, right? You check who's the teacher, who's the principal, who's running the college. It all becomes important, right? You just don't go to an unauthorized college, so you can't whimsically say, oh, I will put my kid anywhere, or I will take coaching from anywhere else, right? Just like yesterday, for example, I went to a dentist. I was having pain in the tooth. Imagine, instead of a good dentist, I would have gone to a quack, and he breaks my tooth. Right, small pain, and he would break my tooth. Then our impression will be, hey, all doctors are bad. Already one tooth is broken. I don't want to show it to anybody else. Similarly, in the path of spirituality, also one is likely that it is very likely that we will come across many people, semi sadhus or pretenders. Right, we call them dharmadhaji. So when we get cheated by a so-called sadhu, we feel broken-hearted. And then these people, they say that I put in faith with that person like God, and he cheated me. Either that person cheated me of money. We hear this every day, right, in the news of different sadhus, what's happening. Somebody is going to the jail, somebody is misbehaved with a woman, somebody is eloped from the country, right? Similarly in the path of spirituality, you will come across these many people. And that the people don't even remain a sadhu, they do blunders, and hence people lose faith. So hence Krishna gives an authorized path, right? And he says that sticking to this our future will be glorious. It's a stable path, it's an authorized path, it's a path authorized by Krishna himself, and this is called as parampara. So Krishna says, evam parampara praptim, the knowledge that I am giving you now, Arjuna, it is a new knowledge. I have given it to the presiding deity of the sun, whose name is Vivashwan. And then Vivashwan gave it to Manu. Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. So Ikshvaku was the son of Manu, the first king of the solar dynasty on earth. We are called Manav because we come from Manu, right? Overall. And Ikshvaku was the son of Viveshwata Manu, who was the presiding who is. So they say there'll be 4 Manus in any creation, right? So Ikshvaku is the son of Viveshwata Manu, who's also the founder of the Surya Vamsha, or the solar dynasty, and he ruled from Ayodhya, right? And that dynasty is one of the most glorious royal lineages in Vedic history. And Lord Rama also came many generations later in the same Ikshvaku dynasty. Therefore, Rama is also called as Raghunath, or the descendant of King Raghu, or Raghava, or Surya Vamshi, belonging to the Solar dynasty. So the lineage is that Ikshvaku, then many generations, then King Raghu, then King Dashrath, and Lord Ram, right? Anyway, going back, Gita is coming from that disciplining succession where Krishna first spoke it to Vivashwan, and Vivashwan gave it to Manu, Manu gave it to Ikshvaku, right? So somebody may ask, sun has a presiding deity? Actually, every planet has a presiding deity. It's like we live in a house, right? Our father is the presiding deity, or you know, if we are the owners, we are the presiding deity of the house. They say head of the house. Somebody is the head of the house, right? That person owns the house. Similarly, in our country, we have a prime minister who's guarding the country. Wherever we go, there's somebody guarding the place. And if nobody is guarding it, then it becomes an encroachable property, right? Imagine you bought a plot and you didn't put any fencing around it. Somebody will encroach it, right? It's very common, isn't it? So just like a home or a state or a country or a college or an office or a company, there's always an owner, and that owner is the presiding person. Similarly, everything is owned by Krishna, and that's why Krishna is also called as Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, right? So Krishna says that, like that, I allot different planets to different deities to take care of them. Like, for example, on Bhumi or Earth, we call it Bhumi Devi or Bhu Devi or Shri Devi. Similarly, Sun has a presiding deity, Moon has a presiding deity. So the presiding deity, in fact, this is nice, fun, some facts you will learn. So Moon is the presiding deity of the Moon. Soma is the presiding deity of the Moon, right? So you may ask, how do you know such a deity exists? The Moon is presided by somebody. How do we know? We can't even see it with the eyes. This is how we may like to think. So, the way to really understand this is that every presiding deity is presided over by one of our senses of our body, right? For example, right now we had lunar eclipse that came, right? So there was a full moon, the full red blood moon that came in. Right? So what happens on a full moon night is you see that people in the mental aslam, they go a little more crazy, right? Because moon is linked to our mind, right? So as I said, it's connected to one of our senses of our body. When lunar eclipse, I dropped a message on the group, if you read it, right? And the message basically was about this is the day to do more spiritual activities. Why do we say that, right? And I'll give you a little more scientific reason around it. So when in lunar eclipse case, they say stay at home, don't go out. Why do they say that? Because on that day, our mind is very unsettled, right? And if you go out and you meet too many people, you'll pick up a fight very easily, right? So they say you sit at home, don't go out, right? And do spiritual activities. Chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And that's the best way to settle a mind, because mind is so fickle. And because the mind is so fickle, when you do spiritual practice, you actually gain benefit. Mind absorbs it better. So if you give the mind more material things, the mind will go more crazy. If you give it spiritual things, it goes crazy with spiritual things. So you get a lot of benefit for it. And that's why, the whole importance of lunar eclipse, that everybody said, go sit at home, chant, don't go out, don't play Holi. Holi was shifted in the north from 3rd to 4th because it said this time we should not play Holi, right, overall. So mind absorbs it better, and spiritual elevation happens, right? So if you do more material things, then the mind absorbs that, and then craziness happens, right? Similarly, on a full moon day, you will see tides in the ocean. What do you think? The tides are high or low on a full moon day, or Purnima as we call it?
Hi.
Low.
High. Yeah, so actually they're high, right? On full moon, tides are very high. Because that's the time the high tides come, and people similarly on a full moon night, people minds are also hyperactive, right? So an interesting story, right? Anybody on why does after marriage, right? All of us have would have gone for honeymoon. Why is it called as a honeymoon, and why is it not called as a honey sun?
Mental alignment with the partner.
Okay, that is one answer. Anybody else?
Can't think of.
So,
I'm saying can't
sorry.
think of.
Okay, because it is connected to the mind. So one is mental alignment, but also because moon increases the lust linked to our mind overall, right? Moon is the presiding deity of the mind, as I said, right? Therefore, mind wants more pleasure and more happiness. So that's why we call it honeymoon, right? Because you go to honeymoon for pleasure and happiness, right? And that's the reason also I said mental asylum, people get more crazy, it affects the mind. So in this way, every presiding deity of the planet has an influence. For example, Surya is provided over by Vivashwan, and Prabhupada says in the purport, he's coming from the dynasty of the sun, and sun is the presiding deity of our eye, right? So we can't even see our hand if there is no light, right? Because of the sun, we are able to see what we see. So on Amavasya days, when there is no moon, right, it's a pitch dark night, you can't even see your hand if you don't have light, right? So sun is like that, the presiding deity of our eye. So in this way, Krishna says that I gave this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita millions of years ago to Vivashwan, the sun god, and then he gave it to Manu, who gave it to Ishwaku, his son, and it's coming from the parampara, right? And that's what you see in the picture also here, right? It's carefully handed over. Earlier, the knowledge was actually given by word of mouth. One guru will speak, the disciple will hear, and the disciple will repeat, and another disciple will hear, and it will go on like that, right? But then Krishna says that over time, gradually the knowledge got lost. But the question is, how can knowledge get lost? We all know knowledge can never get destroyed. So what happened was, in between there were many unscrupulous people who came, who may have actually not handed over the knowledge the way it is supposed to be handed over. Like mundane scholars, somebody in between may have become a mundane scholar, or somebody gave a misrepresentation. which is basically giving the knowledge not in the way the Lord would want it to give, right? And that's when basically we call it yoga nashta parantapa happened, right? Which is basically it got destroyed, nashta ho gaya, right? Overall. So and that's how the whole Vedic scriptures have come in, right? So one student was asking, how do we put faith in the in the Vedas, right? Overall. So actually, Vedas have all the knowledge that our science is now discovering, right? Overall, every single thing that science is discovering is already written in the scriptures, in Srimad Bhagavatam, as well. For example, the human embryology, which is the first picture you see there. So what happens in the first night when the man and woman unite? From that first month, second month, third month, everything is actually there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And basically what some of the advanced gurus have done, they've actually compared it to the Cunningham book of anatomy, and it is exactly matching the modern medical research, right? So you can actually see that yourself. Similarly, there's a whole thing on cow dung, right? On cows, right? We all know, we've seen it in our villages. In fact, even in our own houses, right? We used to get cow dung and we used to cook on it on certain days. I think Holi se pehle and all of that, right? To celebrate Prahlad's victory. I think we should all get it because it's so holy, right? In fact, people you clean their houses with cow dung. You will see people make if you go to the villages, right? They make cow dung patties. In fact, I don't know if you read, in the US now cow dung patties are packaged and sold on Amazon for like massive prices, right? Because it's considered to be holy. And of course we use cow dung patties as fuel also to make food and stuff. Similarly, cow urine, people drink in Vedic life. In fact, it's supposed to be a cure for treating cancer, right? So Westerners at one time would laugh at all this, but now all the scientific research has proved it, and this was only discovered in 1940. Now this has been in the scriptures for thousands and thousands of years, right? Because everybody knows cow urine, cow dung have all antiseptic properties. Even and we know the human dung is not touched by anybody, but cow dung is so worthy of touching. It has antiseptic qualities, right? Overall, and cow dung has been there for millions of years. The Vedas have preceded the modern research many millions of years ago. They have said many things, even including stuff like plants of there's life in plants, right? And the modern man is just discovering all of this, right? Modern man is now turning to Vastu Shastra, astronomy, astrology, all this metallurgy. Everything is from the Vedas, right? I don't know how many of you have anyone of you gone to Sarnath pillar, right? This is one pillar which is standing erect with no rust. So even in a moist environment also, nothing is happening. So scientists basically went to find out the composition of that metal, right? And basically said what are the high strength weight metals and everything else. Now all this is written on how do you do in the scriptures. So what NASA has now done, they have actually hired Sanskrit scholars to refer and find out from the Vedas, right? And now they are discovering science by reading the Vedas and then trying to do the same experiments that are written in our scriptures, right? So as I said, the Vedas earlier were passed from one person talking to the other person. So about 5,000 years ago, Ved was actually written down at the start of Kali Yuga, because he said in Kali Yuga people will not have memory, right? You look at it, we don't even remember yesterday at the same time what were we doing, right? We don't even remember what is the breakfast day before yesterday, right? It takes us a little bit of an effort to remember what it is happening, right? So Kali Yuga, because our memory is so small, so Ved Vyas just before Kali Yuga started about 5,000 years, so he wrote the scriptures, right? Overall. And that whole knowledge is actually coming from parampara. So actually they say there are 4 paramparas, right? 4 sampradayas as you see here, right? The first one is what is called as the Shri Sampradaya, or Shri comes from Lakshmi, and the main guru of the sampradaya is Ramanujacharya. The second one is Brahma Sampradaya, right? And the main guru of that is Madhvacharya. So in fact ISKCON comes from Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, right? So ISKCON is an authorized organization coming from the right parampara, right? Overall, the third one is Shiva Rudra Sampradaya, and similarly, there is a fourth sampradaya which is called as the Kumar Sampradaya, right? So Nimbar Swami comes from this. So each of the sampradayas have prominent acharyas, right? And all these are the only four prominent sampradayas. Anybody says I'm not from the sampradaya is anyway bogus, right? You should understand, because it is not coming from the from the parampara, right? Prabhupada says, right, our teachings are authoritative, they are pure and they're safe to accept because they're based of the works of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who's a pure devotee of Krishna and is coming from the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. So whatever we are hearing, what we are reading is actually authoritative, pure and safe knowledge, and this is the knowledge that Krishna gives. And if you read Prabhupada's book, that's why I recommended all of you to get Bhagavad Gita as it is. The books are crystal clear, like they're crystal clear water. There's no ambiguity, there is no theoretical knowledge, in the book Prabhupada also teaches us many practical ways to develop our devotion to Krishna, right? So it's like, for example, there is light on top of my head. I'm sure there's lights and bulbs everywhere you are, right? Why does the light glow? Because it has a connection to the pole, right? So one pole is connected to the previous pole, who's then connected to the previous pole and the previous pole, and so on and so forth, right? And at some stage it's connected to an hydroelectric power station, so which is from where electricity starts. From that power station to here, I can confidently say there's a connection, because otherwise lights cannot glow. Similarly, if the knowledge is coming in parampara, the knowledge will awaken us. It will awaken our Krishna consciousness, and that's how Prabhupada awakened Krishna consciousness in the lives of millions, practically all over the world. Prabhupada was so old when he went to the US, and within 10 years he spread Krishna consciousness around the world, and this is possibly the only ISKCON is the only organization in the world which has spread our scriptures and our religion to so many people in the world. Foreigners practice it. Everywhere you go you will find an ISKCON temple. In fact, you see foreigners wearing saris and men wearing kurta dhotis, because they've understood the scripture. And Prabhupada, and if it was not pure, it would have not spread like this. Look at any other organization, any other book, right? Bhagavad Gita as it is the most sold Bhagavad Gita book in the world. In fact, it's possibly the most sold book in the world, right? And the reason it is because it's coming from parampara, and it's as it is. Nobody's tried to concord it or make another version of it, right? In this, we all should be very, very happy that we've reached a stage in our life where we're getting this pure knowledge, right? Because it's coming from the sampradaya, starts from Brahma and then through Prabhupada to all of us, right? We could have, you could have gone to and heard Bhagavad Gita from anybody, but what would it have done? It would have actually got you something, and that something would be nothing, right? So you would have got lost, got bored, nothing it would have benefited from you. So we are hearing the Bhagavad Gita, we are hearing about Krishna. I think it's a huge blessing. It's basically our past lives, something that we've done, that we've got to this stage where we're hearing from the sampradaya this book, right? So then in the next verse, actually, Arjuna asks Krishna, why did you choose me? What is my qualification? Why am I getting this knowledge? So Krishna says, Saevaya matidya yoga prokta puratana bhakti asime sakacheti rahasamhetad uttamam. So he's telling that the same knowledge I gave millions of years ago, I'm giving you, Arjuna. And he says, why? So Krishna says there are two qualifications. One, you are my bhakta and you are my sakha. Krishna says, right? So you see, being a devotee of Krishna is an important qualification, right? And that real qualification to get spiritual knowledge is being is the most important, right? Because demons cannot understand it overall, right? So Prabhupada says there are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless, right? So as I told you, right, if you remember the first class we had, that you can lick a honey bottle from outside, right, but you will not be able to taste the honey. To drink the honey, you have to open the lid of the bottle and drink the honey, then only you can really taste the honey. So the benefit of the Bhagavad Gita can only be experienced by a bhakta. So if and a sakha. And Arjuna was a friend, Arjuna was a devotee, he knew the mood in which Bhagavad Gita should be received, and he immensely benefited. Otherwise, like here, you see what Prabhupada is saying, right? He's saying, there are demons and there are devotees, right? In this case, Arjuna accepted Krishna, Lord Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following the footsteps of Arjuna is a real devotional service to the cause of the great service. The demonic, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instruction. And here is a warning that Krishna is giving about this misleading path, right? And so Prabhupada actually explains who's a demon. A demon is somebody who wants to write his own book, but he wants to put his own ideas, his own imaginative ideas, and put the cover with Krishna, so the book would sell well. And then he writes the Bhagavad Gita. So he wants to take the support of Krishna for the cover page, and inside he puts his own stuff, right? And so Prabhupada warns us, saying, do not be very careful, right? And that's why Prabhupada calls the Bhagavad Gita, he's written as Bhagavad Gita as it is, right? Because there's no concoction, it's exactly as it is. He's not put any of his own ideas. He's put what he's heard from his own gurus. It's coming from the parampara, right? And nothing of his own, right? Overall. So so Krishna says, right, man mana bhavo mad bhakto, become my bhakta, right? In fact, the sloka is actually, read the sloka for you actually. It's in the 9th chapter. It's a very nice sloka actually. It says, man mana bhavo mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskrutu mam ivashvyasi yuktvayam atmana mat parayana. So Krishna says, engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances into me and worship me. Being completely observed on me, surely you will come back to me. So what does it say? Mad bhakto. So man mana, let me actually open it so you can read it while I talk about this. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, Lalit.
Yeah. So you're still able to see it or no?
Yes, Lalit.
You are, right? So what is the sloka says, right? Man mana means always think of me, right? Become my devotee, right? Become my worshipper. Worship into me. Then he says, offer obeisances into me, right? Completely. And then he says, you will come being absorbed into me, right? So he says, engage your mind always thinking in me, become my devotee, offer obeisances into me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me, right? So Krishna says, right, that Krishna consciousness is the only means of being delivered from the clutches of this contaminated material world, right? So such sometimes unscrupulous commentators distort the meaning of what is clearly stated here, that all devotional service should be offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Unfortunately, unscrupulous commentators divert the mind of the reader to that which is not at all feasible. Such commentators do not know there is no difference between Krishna's mind and Krishna. So Krishna is not saying, put your mind into something inside me, right? Krishna is saying, just put it on me, worship me, listen to me. But there is some seekers who say, there is something unborn in Krishna that you should study. Where is Krishna writing it? Krishna is not an ordinary human being. He is an absolute truth. His body, his mind, and he himself are all absolute, right? So I think I'll stop here. There's it's a very nice purport actually. You should read it. I really like it. You can see the PowerPoint again, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right, so Prabhupada explains, right? Mad Bhakto, which is what you read, right? Prabhupada says, become Krishna's Bhakta. Man Mana Bhavat. Krishna says, think of me. Prabhupada says, chant Hare Krishna and think of Krishna. Mad Yaji, Krishna said, worship me. Krishna says, Prabhupada says, take an arti plate and worship Krishna. In that shloka that you are reading. Mam Namaskuru. Krishna says, surrender to me. Krishna says. Prabhupada says, bow down in the morning, bow down in front of Krishna. Chant for him, dance for him, serve him, and that is faithfulness. So if you are a guru in the parampara, you will teach what Krishna is saying. You will not say something else, and that's what Prabhupada has done, right? And as I said, there are many demonic interpretations, right, where they say that it is not exactly that you have to surrender to Krishna. You can keep Krishna and Arjuna aside, and you just try to understand what is soul theoretically, and then you can surrender. Just a second, my daughter is doing kirtan. She's actually doing kirtan at the temple, so she's practicing before she gets there. Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
So there are many demonic interpretations, right, where they say it is not exactly that you surrender to Krishna. You can keep Krishna and Arjuna aside, and you just try to understand what is self theoretically, and then you can surrender to something unbound within Krishna. Krishna is not saying this, right? These people are thinking Krishna and his soul are different, which is wrong, right? Krishna says, my body and myself, there is no change. Right, so in fact this is what you read here on this like also, only for us we have a body made of flesh and bones, and we are sitting inside as a soul, whereas Krishna is concerned, it is said there's no difference between Krishna and his body, inside, outside, it is all chinmayam, chinmay sarupam, sachinandananda sarupam, it's divya sarupam, his body is imperishable, right? In fact in the Bhagavatam you will read, right, that Krishna and Balram, they jump from a 90 miles high mountain. They didn't break their bones because they have a spiritual body. Imagine us doing it, right? Forget the bones, nothing will be left of us. So the demonic people, they don't accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concord something about Krishna and they mislead the readers. And the general reader who reads the Bhagavad Gita, which is written by such people, he gets bored with it, he keeps it aside, right? On the contrary, Bhagavad Gita as it is, when Prabhupada wrote in 4 years, that Bhagavad Gita created a great revolution, right? It became a cultural revolution. Hippies left drugs to become bhaktas, right? So a reporter asked Prabhupada, you are converting people. He said, yes, I am converting people who are having drugs, having illicit sex, sitting in the road doing all the wrong things, into people who don't eat meat, who don't have illicit sex, who don't take drugs, who don't gamble. So it's all possible because of his teachings, right, which was all coming from the Bhagavad Gita. So within 4 years there was a great revelation, there was cultural revelation, there was spiritual revelation, there was knowledge awakening revelation, which he did, right? So as I said, all of us very, very fortunate that it's coming. We are all getting this knowledge from the same sampradaya. My Guru Maharaj, my Diksha Guru is His Holiness Adhana Swami Maharaj, who is a direct disciple of Prabhupada. My Siksha Guru, whose presentations that you see, the slides come from him, His Grace Radhesham Das, he is a grand disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So I am also sharing with you what I have heard from them and learned from them and from Prabhupada's book. So since, and all of you are here because you had the propensity to become a devotee, and now you are getting an opportunity to hear this, right? Otherwise, there are there are thousands of editions of the Bhagavad Gita. As I said, you will get somewhere and that will be nowhere. Right, and that's what you will get, and people keep running from pillar to post because many of these books are written so ambiguously without exactly giving the purpose of what Krishna says, right? So when Arjuna heard this, he had a question, right? And his question was, atheistic people consider you, Krishna, as an ordinary man, and may not believe that you instructed the sun god millions of years ago. You are with me right now. And it's not that Arjuna doesn't know, but it's for people like us that he's asking the question. How can you have done millions of years ago? आप तो मेरे साथ हो, आप तो मेरे generation में हो, and so on and so forth. Arjuna is a devotee, he has full faith in Krishna's word, right? Yet, and he knows that Krishna could have spoken this knowledge millions of years ago, right? But he knew that people who will hear this will have a question. How did Krishna give this knowledge millions of years ago? So Arjuna, keeping that in mind, he's asking this question overall, right? And the question he asks is apara bambato janma param janma vivashvataha katametad bhijaneyam tvamadao proktan vahanati. So which is the verse before this. You see the fifth verse, that's the fourth verse. So Krishna, he's asking Krishna, Vivashkan is millions of ago, more aged than you, and you are my contemporary right now. How is it that you give the knowledge to him? And then Krishna answers in the verse that you Shri here. So it's a Shri Bhagwan Uvacha. So whenever in the Bhagavad Gita as it is, you will read when Krishna says, it says Shri Bhagwan Uvacha, right? Or it will say Arjuna Uvacha. But only for Krishna it says Shri Bhagwan Uvacha. Bhagwan, because he is the Supreme Lord. So Krishna says, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacha Arjuna tani aham veda sarvani natvam veda parantapa. Arjuna, many births you and I have passed. I have come before. You have also come. But I remember all of this. Why? Because I am God and you are a jiva. A jiva changes the body during transmigration. So he forgets the previous life. And many lifetimes you have passed. But you forget all of them. Whereas I remember all of them because I am the Supreme Lord. Millions of times I have come and I remember all those millions lives, he says that. And frankly, those who are devotees, they don't forget the Lord at all. But because because Arjuna is also a devotee, Lord has actually put him into a Yoga Maya. A Yoga Maya is what we call it, which means out of love for Krishna, Lord made him forget his previous incarnation, so that he can ask this question to Krishna, and Krishna can give this answer. Right? So from this, Krishna is making it very clear that in all these different lifetimes he comes, he has incarnations. Just like, I don't know. Just like you see, a real marble, and then you see a fake marble, right? You see a real currency, and then you see a fake currency, right? Overall, right? And similarly, you can see a real mango, and then you can see a fake mango, right? Overall, now, for example, when mango comes, there are lots of people telling us how to see the mango is real and is not become eatable because of chemicals, right? So similarly, Krishna's body is spiritual, right? His beauty is spiritual, his body is spiritual, while the body of all the living entities is made of Panch Mahabhuta, right? We spoke about it, right? We spoke about the value of the Panch Mahabhuta. So Krishna never changes his body. He comes in the same body again and again in this world. So then Krishna says, let me tell you about my appearance, right? So he says, actually we should go back to the slide. So Krishna talks about the uniqueness of his appearance. Ajo api san avyatma bhutanam ishvaro api san prakartim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atma maya. He says, I am Aja Arjuna. So you use the word Aja. The first word is Ajo, right? Aja. And Arjuna said the jivas are also like Aja, right? The unborn Krishna, and Krishna said, then Krishna says, I am Avyatma. I am imperishable spiritual body, but the Jivatma changes the body life after life. So not only that, Arjuna, then he says, Bhutanam Ishwaropisan. I am the master of all the living beings, he said. That the Jiva cannot say. No Jiva can say that I am the master of all living entities. That only Krishna can say. So in this way, Krishna establishes unique position as the master. And then he says, Prakartim Swam Adhisthaya, right? Which is the third line that you see in the sloka. So he says, I come into this Prakriti by my own sweet will, he says. Like for example, imagine Narendra Modi. He goes into a jail to see the thieves, how they are doing, and he may even tell them, right, all of you become a gentleman and 3 months will release you, and then he goes back. Now the Prime Minister is coming inside the jail, and he's going out of the jail. He's coming in and out with his own sweet will, right? He's coming in at a sweet will, he's going out at a sweet will, right? Whereas the thieves in the jail, they've been captured and they've been put inside the jail, right? Despite them not wanting to be in jail, in jail, they still have to be there. And that is the nature of all the jivas in this world, right? None of us actually want to be trapped in this material body, which is getting old. And we all see, right, as we get old, our stamina reduces, we get some disease, then as we get more older, more disease, and then finally all of us leave the body and go. But Lord comes into this world out of his own sweet will, right? So Prabhupada explains, right, there are two kinds of fools, right? So when a president or a prime minister comes into a jail, if the thieves would think, hey, president has come inside the jail, we are all inside the jail, that means I am also president, if they think like that, right? Similarly, when Krishna and Rama, they've come into this world, if God is coming to the world, I am also in the world, so I am also God. And you will see a lot of the people who call them spiritual philosophers, they say, I am also God, right? And there's God and we are all gods, right? So these stupid people even say that, when Krishna has come into the world, he's also like a thief, like in the jail, right? Which means he's also conditioned like me, right? So these kind of people are fools, and they misunderstand Lord Krishna, Lord Rama. They actually come to the wrong conclusion that God is actually impersonal. This is just a material form from the impersonal energy that has come. The fact is, the God is not impersonal, right? It's not that God is a light or nature. God has one impersonal aspect, just like a bulb has the light coming from it. So similarly, the light that people think as God is basically a Brahma Jyoti coming from Krishna himself, right? And it's emanating from his own body. But some foolish people will consider this Brahma Jyoti is the ultimate, and this form that you see is temporary, they think. And these people are basically, the word used for them is called as Mayavadis, right? Because they believe in Mayavadis, right? So such people do not know the descent of Lord as a Prakritam Swadhisthaya, right? Krishna comes by his own sweet will inside and he goes out himself, right? Another example, I think I gave this before also. If you look at this, if you can look at my Kanthi Mala, right? All these pearls are together, but there's a nylon thread inside. So this nylon thread is sustaining all the monies together, right? When you remove the nylon thread, they all get scattered away. The nylon thread is not trapped inside. The nylon thread is sustaining it. Similarly, Krishna is sustaining the whole universe when he comes here. On the other hand, we are all trapped like the thief put inside a jail and locked outside, right? That is conditioned souls, trapped like that. And that's the point here, right? Krishna says, Prakritim Swamadhisthaya Sambhavami Atmayaya. By my own eternal potency, I come into this world, right? So if you look at this picture also, right, Krishna is in the center and he comes as various avatars. You see all the Krishna avatars here, right? Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narsingha. On all these avatars, he is divine, he is spiritual in all his different forms. None of these forms are made of Panch Mahabhuta like us, right? All of them are Satchidananda Swarupam, right? So, there's a nice example my guru gives, right? In a home, there are some children, they're talking to each other. And there's a man standing outside and he's hearing. So one kid is saying, I'm going to eat an elephant. Another child says, I'm eating the lion. The third one says, I'm eating a tiger. The fourth one says, I'm eating the whale. And this man is hearing from outside, he's wondering, who's living inside the house? Are these Rakshasas? So he peeped inside the window and he saw the children were talking to each other and they were basically talking about biscuits. Right? So there's an elephant biscuit, there's a tiger biscuit, there's a lion biscuit. We've all seen those biscuits, right? Which are shaped like different animals, right? So why am I taking this example, right? Like all biscuits are made of the same flour or atta. Similarly, all the 10 avatars are made of the same item. What is it? Which is Satchidananda. Satchidananda Swarupam. All the form may be different. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narsingha, but the person is the same. Right? So it says Keshavadrita Narari Rupa, Keshavadrita Kurma Rupa, Keshavadrita Narsimha Jaya Jagadish Hare. So basically it's all the same, right? Um, so we go ahead. Right, so Krishna only comes in these forms, and all these forms are Satchidananda Swarupa, made of the same substance, and they come out of their own sweet will and go back to their sweet will. Now Arjuna asks, "Oh Krishna, you say you descend into this world. When do you descend?" He's saying. So this is the most famous verse. I'm sure all of you know. So maybe you can unmute and read this with me. Right? You can see the verse here, right? Actually, let me open the Veda base. You read from there. The meaning also is explained very nicely. Prabhupada has given very, very nice meaning of this. You can see the screen?
Not yet.
Now?
Yes,
Yeah.
now we can.
So, yada yada hi dharmasya
Yadaya
Yada yada hi dharmasya
dharmasya
glanir bharata
glanirvati
glanirvati bharata
bharata
abhyuthanam adharmasya
abhyutanam
abhyuthanam adharmasya
dharmasya
tadatmanam sajamiham.
tadatmaram
tadatmanam shajami.
sajaminam.
So then Krishna says, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. This I'm sure you've heard, right? We've all in Mahabharata and all we've heard. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam shajamiham. The word shajami here is significant. So this is what Prabhupada has written as purport. The word Shajami is significant here. Shajami cannot be used in the sense of creation, because according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body. Krishna is not created, right? His form is eternally existent. Therefore, Shajami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. Although the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of Dwapar Yuga of the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu in one day of the Brahma, he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations, because he is completely free to act in many ways at his will. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of Vedas makes one irreligious. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a religion. So now people are manufacturing their own religions, right? I'm sure you've heard many different new religions have come in, right? For example, within Buddhism now there is like different kinds of Buddhism. Some of them don't even look at the Lotus Sutra, right? Somebody telling me there's something called a Nichiram Buddhism. Now there's a Japanese guru started his own version of Buddhism, right? So people are making their own version, right? The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by Lord himself to Brahma from within the heart. Therefore, the principles of dharma or religion are the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of God, the dharmam tu sakshat Bhagavad pranitam. These principles are clearly indicated through the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord directly orders at the end of Gita that the highest principle of religion is to surrender to him and nothing more. Right? The Vedic principles push one towards complete surrender into him, and whenever such principles are disturbed by demonic, the Lord appears. From the Bhagavatam, we understand that Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna, who appeared when materialism was rampant and materialists were using the pretext of the authority of the Vedas. Right? Although there are certain restrictive rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifices for particular purposes of Vedas, people of demonic tendency still took to animal sacrifice without reference to Vedic principles. Lord Buddha appeared in order to stop the nonsense to establish the Vedic principles of non-violence. Right? Now, what is happening? A lot of branches of Buddhism have come in which allow you to eat meat. Right? Lord Buddha actually came to stop that. Right? So, what are people doing? They are making their own versions for their own convenience. So they say, oh yes, you should chant Lord's name, but it's okay, go kill animals, go eat meat. go do alcohol, do all of that, right? But Lord Buddha came basically to stop this animal sacrifice. So then people are just making their own versions of it based on their convenience, right? Therefore, each and every avatara or incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission, and they're all described in the revealed scriptures. No one should be accepted as an avatara until he is referred to by the scriptures. It is not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soils. He can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere, and wherever he desires to appear. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under the particular circumstances. But the mission is the same: to lead people to God consciousness and obedience of the principles of religion. Right? So even Lord Buddha, when he came, he said, okay, don't read the Vedas, but don't kill animals. Right? That was his thing, because at that time people were so degraded that it started in the earlier days. People used to sacrifice animals, right? But the priests were eligible to speak that, and the animal would sacrifice, he would basically go back to God, or he would get a human life. But then over a period of time, these priests were not there. There's no eligible priests who can do it. So, but people were still killing animals, and then they started eating them, right? So then Lord Buddha came and said, okay, forget the Vedas, right? Because Vedas were talking about sacrifices of animals. He said, no non-violence, right? So same, he came to give obedience to the principles of religion, right? Similarly, Shivji, he also came at a time where he gave a certain philosophy, right? So sometimes, sometimes God descends himself personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant or himself in some disguised form, right? So if you look at Jesus Christ, right? Jesus Christ never said, I am God, right? He said, I am the Son of God. But who's God, right? And so a lot of Christian people who've turned to Sanatana Dharma have had this question in their mind, right? Who's God? I know Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Who's God, right? Overall, even Allah says, I'm the messenger of God, right? But now people treat him as God. So Krishna is sending his bona fide representative in the form of his son, servant, or himself in some disguised form, right? So the principles of Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna, and for that matter to highly elevated person, because he was highly advanced compared to ordinary person in other parts of the world. 2 plus 2 equals 4 is a mathematical principle, but it's true in the beginner's arithmetic class as well as in the advanced class. Even advanced class, 2 plus 2 remains 4, right? Still there are higher and lower mathematics in all incarnations of the Lord. Therefore the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher and lower in various circumstances. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the 4 orders and the 4 stages of real life. We accept the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. The whole purpose of the mission of incarnation is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances. Right? So this is actually it's one of my most favorite slokas also, and it's also one of the most famous one, right? On Krishna is really making it clear what is religion, what is the right religion, why does each incarnation come in this world, when he comes himself, when he sends someone else, overall, and then he says, okay, the way to live life is in the four statuses of social life, all of those pieces, right? So it's a very all incarnating, everything included verse in that sense. So I think what I'll do is let's take like a 5-minute break. I think it's been an hour now. So let's come back. It's 12:07 now. Let's come back at 12:12 and then we can continue the session. Yeah.
I have a question before that, Lalit.
Yeah.
So all the avatars you said over here, whatever you said, that comes for, the demons or whatever, slaying the demons, or even Buddha came to do something, right? But the Kurma avatar, the tortoise one, उसमें क्या हुआ? उसमें तो कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. उसका लॉजिक क्या है?
कूर्मा अवतार का स्टोरी बहुत अच्छा स्टोरी है उसका. Tortoise one, why did he come? So there was a king who was a very, very religious king, right? And it's actually described in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the Canto 8. And Kurma Avatar has come twice, right? First time he came, actually, before the king, he came when the Samudra Manthan was happening, right? You know about Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean?
Yeah.
Right? So
the poison and the non-poison.
Yeah, so the demigods lost their strength, the demons were becoming powerful. So the Devas prayed to Lord Vishnu for help. So the Lord Vishnu basically advised them to temporarily cooperate with the Asuras to churn the ocean of milk to obtain Amrit, right? And he told them use the Mount Mandara as the churning rod, and then he said use Vasuki, which is the servant, as the rope, right? But when they began, the mountain started sinking into the ocean because there was no support beneath it, right? So then Lord Vishnu took the form of a giant tortoise or kurma. He went under the ocean, he held the mountain on his back, and he supported the entire churning process. So why did he do that? To support who? The religious people, which is Devas, right? And Devas, because Devas were losing, and Devas were devotees of the god, the demons were winning, they were non-devotees. So Krishna comes to basically save the devotees, right? Overall. So that was the first time Kurma came. The second time Kurma avatar came was for a king, right? Which was basically a very very religious, very pious king, right? And that king used to rule his kingdom with deep devotion for Krishna. I think he was called. I think he's called King Indra Yamuna, right? And that king had renounced all the worldly pride. He performed intense meditation. He focused completely on the worship of the Lord. And at one point, when he was in deep meditation, one of the big sages, Agastya Muni, came to him, right? Yeah, so this is other story. And then this king became the Gajendra elephant and all of that, right? So that was the other. No, this is not that story. So this king was basically, no, that's another story. So this king was basically then meditating, and then Lord Vishnu came to him. No, that's actually another story. Yeah, no, I think the Kurma story I told you. That's the story of the Matsya Avatar. I'm talking about. Yeah, confused. I got confused. Yeah.
So, which means that the god will ascend only when there is a real passionate demon who is like really passionate about being demon. So, demon का भी तो जरूरत है ना. It's as important.
बहुत अच्छा है. अभी आगे वाले श्लोका में ना कृष्णा says, in fact Arjuna asks, right, कि demon तो हम भी मार सकते हैं, आप क्यों आते हो? So Krishna actually explains that. It's very beautiful आगे.
Okay.
Yeah. ठीक है. चलो, we'll take a 5-minute break. It's 12:11. Let's come back at 12:50. 4 minutes break. Hare Krishna. Is back. Hare Krishna, are you all back?
Yeah. Yes, Lalit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, yeah. So another, I'll just explain a little bit on this shloka before we move to the next question. And Sudipta, I'm so happy you're thinking like Arjuna only. Why does Krishna come? So I think that's the next shloka. But so basically, the other thing to hear is dharma se glani means when people become materialistic and they forget the goal of life, and then that is dharma se glani, right? So that's one thing that you should remember, right? The other meaning of dharma se glani means that you think yada yada dharma se glani, right? Means that asuric powers become more and more, and devtas powers become less, and which means demonic culture becomes more, and then that's the time the Lord descends, right? And why does it happen? Because this universe has a purpose, right? The universe has a purpose, and the purpose is that all living entities, right? Here, Lord is giving us everything. He's sending the sun, the moon, the fruit, vegetables to eat these things, to have a healthy body and perform worship of the Lord, cleanse our heart by doing Nishkam Kam Yoga, and eventually come to Gyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and become purified, right? But what the demons do is they act against it, right? Because they create disorder in the world. They they usurp the property of others, they loot others, they beat others, they kill others because of Kam, Krodh, Lobh, right? So actually, it's a very important thing. I'll stop sharing, but this is something you should know. There's an A B C D E F G of Vedic culture, right? And the A B C D E F G is like this.
But this is different from ABCD of Krishna consciousness part, right?
Yeah, this is the ABCDEF of EFG of what does Vedic culture really mean, right? See my screen, right? So A stands for absolute truth. Right, which is basically knowing that Krishna is the Supreme Lord.
I can't hear anything. Is it only me?
You can still see my screen? Something happened. I don't know what. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet, Lalit.
I don't know what happened.
हाँ, अब ठीक है. हाँ, ठीक.
So D stands for demigods or devtas, right? Who are basically the suppliers of things that we have, like just like there's a prime minister and there are ministers, right? Overall. E stands for etiquettes, right? Etiquettes or behavior, right? Right, which is how do we behave with our seniors, with our supervisors, with our juniors, with women, with kids, with parents, with teachers, with animals, right? It's all etiquettes, right? F basically stand for that whenever we are in danger, we flee to the lotus feet of the Lord, right? Which means we are fully dependent upon him. And G basically means for goodness, right? Which means I told about that the three behaviors, right? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. So we stay in the mode of goodness, right? In this way, there is a Brahminic or spiritual culture or a Vedic culture, right? This is a Vedic culture, right? So people know that there is absolute truth. We respect our teachers. We have teachers. We protect the cows. We respect the demigods who are suppliers of everything that we have. We have good etiquettes and behavior. Whenever we want or something or we are in danger, we flee to Krishna. So we are fully surrendered onto him, and we are in the mode of goodness. We are not in the mode of passion and ignorance, which means we follow the four regulative principles. We chant. And we are always trying to help others, right? So whenever such Vedic culture is tortured, right, you will see God appears, right? For example, when Prahlad was tortured by Hiranyakashipu, right, and Devaki and Vasudeva were tortured by Kamsa, right, the Lord descended in the world, right, and that's why he says, I descend in this world, abhyuthana dharmasya tadatmanam shajamiham, he says, right. So now I'll go to the next slide, which is the question you were asking, and this is exactly the next sloka. So which is 4.8. So Arjuna asked, same thing, right? Oh Krishna, your devotees can rectify the situation. Like I'm your devotee, Arjuna. I can fight the battle and destroy the demons and establish dharma. What inspires you to come into this horrible material world? Why do you come here? Then Krishna says, I actually come into this world because my devotees long for me. They long for my association. So I not only like to come to see my devotees, I perform pastimes with my devotees. And I destroy the demons, and sometimes it requires great strength to destroy some of these demons, right? So this is a very important piece. Krishna comes to not only kill the demons, but actually because the devotees want him to come, right? So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna who came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years back, one of the reasons he came was Advait Acharya, right? We say Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Acharya, right? So Advait Acharya cried and he was saying, what is happening to this world? Everybody is forgetting, Krishna. They are all praying to Kali. They are praying to all demigods to get different things, and it's become a material world. Oh Krishna, I long for you. Please come, right? So Krishna came, right, for that. So when devotees long for his association, he comes, and he comes to perform his pastimes with them. The other piece is that Krishna comes to destroy the demons, right? And it requires great power to destroy some of these demons. But the difference is when Krishna kills the demons, this is very important to know. It appears that he's favoring the devotees and demigods, and he's killing the demons, right? One of the names of Krishna is Hatha Hari Gati Dayaka. Hatha Hari Gati Dayaka means that when he kills the demons, he purifies them of their bad propensity and gives them the bliss of Brahman by sending them to the Brahma Jyoti, right? It's like assuming you have a big boil, right? For example, I have a boil right now. You go to a doctor. The doctor takes a knife. He removes the boil, and that time when he's doing that, you will shout, "Ah, it's paining." But then after the boil is gone, you have no more pain and you're happy. Similarly, the demons are those with a big boil of anarthas in their heart, right? And it has become so ripe that they're creating too much havoc in the world. Lord comes and sends them to Brahma. One go, right? So Krishna is like the supreme doctor for all demons, like Kamsa, and also for devotees he performs pastimes with them. And so this is the other reason, right? So this is another famous sloka, right? You can all again repeat this sloka with me. Paritranaya sadhunam.
Paritraya sadhunam.
Paritranaya sadhunam.
Paritranaya
Paritranaya sadhunam.
sadhunam
Vinashaya cha duskritam
vinashaya cha
Vinashaya cha
duskritam
dushkritam.
dharma samsthapana arthaya
dharma
Dharma
sanstapana
samstapana
arthaya
arthaya.
sambhavami yuge yuge.
sambhavami yuge yuge.
Right? So he's saying for the deliverance of the devotees, right? For the annihilation of the miscreants, vinashaya cha dushkratam, paritranaya sadhunam, dharma samsthapanaya, to establish religion, to re-establish religion, right? Which is the third part, right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us the Mahamantra and give us Krishna consciousness, right? Sambhavami yuge yuge. I do appear yuge in this millennium after millennium, right? So to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Right? So what is Prabhupada writing? According to Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, a holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. Right? So it's not necessarily a sadhu is person who's left everything wearing, orange clothes, and a sadhu can be any of us as long as we are fully living our life in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness, wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. And dushkratam appears to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants or dushkratam are described as foolish and the lowest of the mankind, even though they may be decorated with mundane education, right? Whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu, even though such person may not be learned or well cultured. Right? So it's very important, right? In this world, there are lots of demons because they are atheists. They don't believe in God. They don't pray to God. They believe they are everything, right? Overall. As far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demons Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons, but the Lord specially descends. See, this is very important. But the Lord specially appears to appease his unalloyed devotees who are always harassed by the demonic. The demon harasses the devotee even though the latter may happen to be his kin. Right? For example, Kamsa was doing to Devaki. Prahlad Maharaj, son of Hiranyakashipu, was being persecuted by his father. Right? Were persecuted, but Krishna was born of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than to kill Kamsa. But both are performed simultaneously. Therefore, it is said here to deliver the devotee and to vanquish the miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj, the following verse, Madhya Leela 20.263 and 264, summarize these principles of incarnation. Right? Shrishti Hetu Ye Murti Prapachane Avatare Sei Ishvara Murti Avatar Namadhare Maya Tita Paravyome Sabara Avasthana Vishwa Avatari Dhare Avatar Nama. The avatar or incarnation of Godhead descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation. And the particular form of the personality of Godhead who so descends is called an incarnation or avatara. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatara. There are various kinds of avatars. So he talks about various kinds of Lord's avatara, all appearing in schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primordial Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. But Lord Krishna descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of pure devotees who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of Krishna Avatara is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. The Lord says he incarnates himself in every millennium. This indicates that he incarnates also in the age of Kali, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. An incarnation of the age of Kali is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread the worship of Krishna by the Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names, and spread Krishna consciousness throughout India. He predicted that this culture of Sankirtan would be broadcast all over the world, from town to town and village to village. Lord Chaitanya, as the incarnation of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is described secretly, but not directly in the confidential parts of the revealed scriptures, such as the Upanishads, Mahabharata and Bhagavatam. The devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. This avatara of the Lord does not kill the miscreants but delivers them by his causeless mercy. right? So there are lots of nice stories of Lord Chaitanya also, but I think in the interest of time, I'll go back. Right, so the Krishna is saying the purpose of his appearance. Actually, I'll tell you Lord Chaitanya's story, right? How he is different than the old avatars, but he behaves as it is needed to be behaved in Kali Yuga. So there were two demons, right? They were called Jagai and Madhai. They were actually born in a respectable Brahmana family, but they became drunkards, very violent, offensive, sinful. They terrorized the people of Navadvip. They would steal, they would kill, they would rape women, and they were called demonic because of their behavior, right? So one day, Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya, they used to go literally, house to house, street to street, begging people to chant the holy name: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So they would beg, they would literally hold their hands, go down on their knees and saying, please chant Hare Krishna, right? But when they went to Jagai and Madhai, they basically insulted them. In fact, one of them, which is Madhai, even stuck Lord Nityananda with a pot, causing him to bleed. Now Lord Chaitanya, when he heard this, because Lord Nityananda is not, nobody else but Balram, he became very furious, and he invoked his Sudarshan Chakra to punish him. But Lord Nityananda intervened, and he said, in this incarnation, O Krishna, you have come to deliver, not to kill, right? So seeing this mercy of Lord Nityananda, Jagai and Madhai fell at Lord Chaitanya's feet and sincerely repented. And eventually Lord Chaitanya basically touched them, and all their bad behavior, everything that they done got wiped off. And they transformed into great devotees, right? So it's very important, right? In the previous avatar, Ram killed Ravana, Narsimha killed Hiranyakashipu, Krishna killed many demons. But in Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya kills the demonic mentality in us. So the demonic mentality is in each one of us, right? It's not the person. And the weapon to kill this demonic mentality, right? When we want to do things outside our quota, where we want to do wrong things, we don't want to follow the religious principles. And the answer for all of that is the holy name, right? So this avatar of Krishna, which is Lord Chaitanya, right, is worshipped through Sankirtana, not warfare, right? And Jagai and Madhai basically represent us: addiction, violence, ego, sinful habits. And Lord Chaitanya shows that no one is so fallen. Through chanting and mercy, transformation is possible, right? So that's just bringing it to life to why Krishna descends, right? In every millennium to do what, right? Clear?
Yes.
So then, Arjuna asks, what do you expect the devotees to learn, or the living entities to learn from your descent in this world, and from your pastimes, and from your leelas? So Krishna says here, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti tatvata tvaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, so Janma karma cha me divyam, my birth and my activities, by Janma, my birth, and Karma, my activities, are all divine, right? Like you see here, the picture of Krishna appearing in the jail of Kamsa. See, the whole jail becomes lit up, right? Although it was pitch dark before the presence of Krishna, because his body is now emanating the light, and that itself is so wonderful. He showed a 400 form also, and then he also showed his baby form. He's wearing a dazzling pitambar mukut, a kundal, a necklace, and armlets and bracelets, everything. which child is born like this, right? With ornaments on the body and a smiling child, not a crying child. All of us have been born crying. We've seen our own babies crying, and none of them comes with so much jewelry and so on and so forth, right? He also reminded his parents of their two previous births. So he tells Devaki and Vasudev, you were Krishni and Sutava, and I became Krishna Garbha. Later on, you were Aditi and Kashyap, and I became Vaman Deva. Now you become Devaki and Vasudev, and have come as your son Vasudev. So the parents are very happy. The child has reminded us of our two births. He was born and he's speaking. Which child speaks at the time of birth? Right? Most children will learn to speak at 2 or 3. Right? Therefore, Krishna's janma is not ordinary, and his karma is also not ordinary. Right? Then you will see that as soon as he's born, right? Vasudev carried him out of the jail. All the watchmen went to sleep. The rain started to come. Indra showered rain so that everybody will close their doors and windows and go to sleep. But then the rain, it didn't even touch Krishna at all. Till Anant Shesha came to shelter Krishna. Then he was taken to Nand Gokul, to Nanda's Gokul, right, where he played many pranks, many pastimes with Mother Yashoda. So this is the activities right now. He opened his mouth and showed the whole universe within his belly, right? Which you see on the picture on the left, right? Later on, he showed universal form outside to Arjuna in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. You see it on the right, where he's showing all the forms are emanating from him. In this way, you will find that he performs various pastimes, all divine pastimes, and no ordinary child can show. Can do this, right? Nobody can show the universe in the belly, and no person in the world can show the Vishwa Rupa Darshan, right? Nowadays, though, I mean, there are lots of gurus who say, we are God. There are human beings, who claim to be God nowadays. So the thing should be, if anybody claims to be God, we should catch them and demand them, show us your universal form, or at least open your mouth and show me the Brahman inside, isn't it, right? So therefore, Krishna's activities are also all divine, right? From his day of birth, his activities, everything is divine, right? His karma is also divine, his birth is also divine, right? And Krishna does both human and superhuman things. Like, for example, taking the cows to the forest. Even you and I can do it. Stealing butter in homes of gopis. Even we can do it. But he lifted the Govardhan hill with his pinky finger. He swallowed the forest fire. He showed the Vishwa Rupam Darshanam. He showed Brahman in his belly. These are superhuman. Nobody can do it. So Arjuna said, Krishna, by knowing all the divinity of a birth and activities, what will the living entities gain? Right? Krishna says, so if we go back. So Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvata tvaktva dehar punam janma naiti mamiti jo Arjuna. And Krishna says, he says, Arjuna, anybody who knows my birth and activities to be divine, evam yo veti tatvata tvaktva deham, when they give up the body, punar janmeti, right? They will not again and again take birth and death. Naiti mameti so Arjuna, they will come back to my spiritual world abode, O Arjuna. And this is the benefit for my devotees. It's so simple, right? We just have to take Krishna as the Supreme Lord and understand that he's the Supreme Lord, and everything he's done, his birth, everything is Divyam, and that's it. It's so simple to go back to the spiritual world, right? And he says that's the benefit for my devotees, right? But what prevents us from doing so is our ego. We believe we are the controllers. We believe we can control everything overall. So next Arjuna asks, there are also living entities who may not believe that your body is spiritual, your activities are divine, your birth is divine, and that's when Krishna takes them to the next session, where he will say that there are different types of living entity. Vitraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashrita bhavo jnana tapasa uta madbhavam agata. For example, he's saying vitaraga, right? Raga means attachment to dollar notes, right? So our raga means attachment to dollar notes. So there are types of living entities who are too attached to material enjoyment. They are never going to think about God, even though Krishna comes and performs his beautiful pastime, like Duryodhana, he was there, right? But he know he was the supreme Lord, but he never prayed to him, never worshipped him, right? So these people don't know anything about money. Only thing they think is money is honey, right? So they will never take to Krishna consciousness. The second kind of people are people who have bhaya. Bhaya are people who have fear. They have fear of spiritual entity. So why do they have fear? When they hear that I give up this material body and go to the spiritual world where I can have pastimes with the Lord, all the water there is nectar, nobody walks there, everybody dances there, nobody speaks there, everybody sings there. There are all the living entities in touch with divine couples, Radha, Krishna, Lakshmi, Narayan, Sita, Ram. So when they hear about the personality after moksha, some people have great fear. They say, no. See, this fellow is doing like this. I don't want. They want to get rid of it because they think I have this material body. I've gone through so much problems. I went through disease, quarrels, interpersonal clashes. Now I only want shanti. That's all. That's their idea, right? So you will see in a family also, right? Nice man, right? So there's a husband and wife, right? They're quarreling, right? 1 week they are quarreling, and they are in this whole negative axis. All of us go through this, right? Whoever is married in this group, right? Now both of them decide that our head is aching now, quarreling for a week. Now you go to that room, I live in this room, you go in that room, I'll have peace of mind. So the wife gets the food made, keeps a dabba or for the tiffin, tells the maid khana de dena, and the husband also whatever is needed for the house he gets, if money is needed, whatever is needed he gets, and says whatever you need to take, right? So they don't talk, they possibly leave only chits, right? What do you think? Will they be peaceful?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay, anybody else? Who else is married in the group? Vibha, Rahul?
I think short term it would be peaceful, but I don't think it's a sustainable solution.
Yeah. Rahul, what do you think? Varunika, Rima ji, what do you say? Rina ji can't hear you.
Can be peaceful.
Okay, can be peaceful. So some people are saying no, somebody is saying short term, somebody is saying can be peaceful. So they will sure be peaceful, right? She's in that room, he's in that room, there's no quarrel. This is like a 0-0, right? Initially they were quarreling in the negative axis, now they've come to 0-0. Shanti. Now what happens? Another 2 weeks passed. They get bored of that peace also. And now they're thinking, what kind of home is this? We don't look at each other, we don't talk to each other. And finally they say, let us put aside this quarrel and live with love. So then they start talking to each other, have a sweet relationship, and then you move to the positive axis. So from negative to shanti, and then you move to a positive axis, which is of love. And love is beyond peace. So they're more happy. That peace is not happiness. When they start talking to each other, they start spending time with each other, they have a sweet relationship, and then they move to a positive axis. So the love is beyond peace. So these kind of people, they're fearful of the spiritual one and entity, they only want peace. So they go to Brahma Jyoti, that is the place they go to get shanti. There is no service there, they are suspended in the Brahma Jyoti. And then they realize, what am I doing? I want something. So then they either fall down in the material world overall, and then they again come back to discover love. And then they go back to Godhead. And then there's the third kind of people, right, who are basically frustrated people, right, who have had many wrong interpretations, krodha, of the scriptures, and there were a lot of krodha, right? So my Gurudev was telling me this story. He was once in a train, and once somebody asked him, your Krishna told Arjuna to kill Karna, correct? He asked me, so my Gurudev said, wait a minute, sir. Krishna also spoke 14 things about Karna, what mistakes Karna did, after which he told him to hit Karna. He said, actually, I don't want to listen to any of that. He said, Karna was starting the wheel and Krishna told Arjuna to hit him. I just don't want to hear like that. So this poor fellow is like this person in the bottom, right? He's not heard the full thing, he's not understood the whole thing, but he's in this mode of krodha, frustrated because of his wrong understanding, right? So, so in this 4.1, Prabhupada explains these three types of people, right? He says these people cannot take to Krishna consciousness. These are the type of people, they go astray and they go and they go away, right? These people have those people who have given up these three tendencies, which is raga, bhaya, krodha. Raga is attachment, bhaya is fear, krodha is frustration. Those who give up these things, right? Man maya mam upashrate, right? Those who take shelter of me, man maya. These are many people in the past who have become purified and have gone back together. So people who have given up these three, these people take shelter of me and they go back together, and many have gone. Then Arjuna asks at the same time Krishna, there are people who don't understand you. Then Krishna says, yes, those people who have faith in me and the spiritual world and my pastime which I perform with my devotees, these devotees think like this. Oh, you know, Krishna is so beautifully descended in this world, did so many pastime. Now I will return back to him, I will see him face to face. He says, such devotees, I take them as my associates and I go to various universes and perform Leela with them, and I delight with them. But then the second kind, those who are Mayavadis, who think my body is made of flesh and bones, I make them get birth again and again with the body of flesh and bones because they think my body is like that. They themselves get such bodies and they keep taking birth and again. And the third one, who are Jnanis, who have faith in my spiritual form, but they want to rest in Brahman, I award them moksha. So they go to Brahman and relax. Brahman and they relax to and as if because that's what they like. So so that's the first part, right, of this chapter. Some sound. So the second part of this, which is E, right? So what is E? Who can tell me what is E?
Eternal education.
Eternal knowledge, eternal education, right? Now we go to the second part, which is A, right? Which is accurate understanding. So people have basically three misunderstandings, right? Do all paths lead to the same goal? Why is there worship of many gods? Is caste system not exploitative, right? So the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, right? So question number one, right? Many people say all paths lead to the same goal, right? A lot of people you will meet in Hinduism will say, अरे आप किसी भी भगवान को पूज लो, आप सब वहीं पहुँचोगे. आप कुछ भी कर लो, आप बस आज long as आप पूजा करते रहो, आप वहीं पहुँच जाओगे. So it's like I take a ticket to Delhi in a train, right? And instead of sitting in the Delhi train, I sit in the Chennai train. Will I go to Delhi? Not really, right? I will go to Chennai. So how can you say all the trains go in the same direction? Every train is going to a different destination. So therefore many people in India have this wrong notion. ये भी ठीक है, वो भी ठीक है, right? आप ये भी कर लो, वो भी कर लो, सब भगवान एक ही है, सब एक जगह ही पहुँचेंगे, right? Overall. But Krishna is very clearly explaining in the section, right? Overall. Another thing people ask, which is the second question, why are there so many why there are so many gods in Hinduism, right? In Christianity, some people say we have only one capital God, we only worship. In Muslims, people say Allah is there, right? But in your Hindu religion, you guys are worshipping so many people, so many gods. And I don't know if any of you have watched this Kerala story movie. I have not seen it fully, but I've seen some parts of trailers and some things people have shared. And one of the big problems in that Kerala story movie, if you've seen it, is that the girls who are caught in these scenarios, they are basically brainwashed because they have not learned the Hindu religion, right? We've not learned our scriptures. Unlike the Christians and Muslims, a commendable job they do that everybody knows the scriptures and understands the scriptures. But on a Hindu, we don't learn ourselves, we don't teach our kids. And the kids are confused. So somebody comes and gives them strong logic, they can't defend, they don't know. so they get stuck, right? So that's so that's the problem, right? Now you've heard the Bhagavad Gita till now, right? In the fourth chapter. Now you know there's one supreme lord even here, who's Krishna, right? You are able to explain what is the role of different devtas or demigods, right? Overall, you know what is the difference between a body and a soul. You know what are different kind of yogas. Now this is what our kids should know, right? If they know, you will realize they'll be so solid children, right? In their life, all the fundas will be solved, all the ups and downs that they have in their life will be solved. Of course, we are also learning along with, but it's such an important piece which the Christians and the Muslims do so well, right? So then the third thing, right? Krishna also clarifies about the caste system. And there are many people who are angry about the caste system, right? They think Brahmanas have taken an upper hand and they mistreat the lower caste. So Krishna also explains beautifully about that, right? Yeah. So Arjuna asked this question, right? Which you can do. Krishna, there are some your dedicated devotees. They consider your activities to be divine, yourself to be divine. They go back to God. What about other people who come to you for various other goals? Some people want material desires to be fulfilled. Some people want moksha from you, different things. So for that, Krishna basically gives this answer. Okay? Ye yathamam, this is also very famous sloka. Ye yathamam prapadante tamstathava bhajami aham mam varta manu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. So Krishna is explaining this, right? So if you see this picture, Gajendra the elephant. I was telling the story of Gajendra in the earlier part with some confusion, but basically Gajendra wanted relief from suffering. He was the Yumna king who became an elephant when the crocodile caught up on him, right? Dhruv Maharaj. I don't know if I've told you the story of the 5-year-old Dhruv Maharaj. Who had a father who had another wife. He used to favor his other wife. His father was the king of many kingdoms. So when he went to sit in his father's lap, the stepmother told him, next time you are born from my womb, then you'll be able to sit on it. So he gets very upset. He goes to his mother. Mother says, go to the Vrindavan forest and pray to Vishnu, right? So he basically is praying to Vishnu, standing on one leg, doing massive penances like for almost 6 months, literally breathing in like once in like 10 days or something like that, right? And he wants a kingdom greater than his grandfather, right? Then Amrish Maharaj, right, who didn't want anything other than loving and serving the Lord. And Sudama was Krishna's friend. He was so poor. His wife told him, "You go and meet your friend Krishna, who's the king of Dwarka. We are so poor, we don't even have food to eat." He simply wanted to exchange love with his friend Krishna. So people with different motivations, when they come to love to the Lord, Krishna can award them whatever, right? Krishna says, I accordingly, depend upon what they want, I award them, right? So ultimately, he said, it is not that there are different paths. It's only one path. Ultimately, all paths are in line with me. They're like the rungs of the ladder. We run toward karma kanda, nishkankam yoga, gyan yoga, all of that. So people shouldn't think that I will aim at one path and I will attain the ultimately same destination. So therefore, one has to hear one important question he asked, right? So he asked Krishna, if you are ready to award people whatever they ask you, then why should the whole world not come to you? Why do they go to the devatas, right? So this is the question he is asking. So Krishna says people worship demigods desiring quick results, right? He's saying, but my dear Arjuna, people go to the devatas. I can give them also material desires, but my habit is that I purify the heart of the devotee first, and then I give the devotee the material desires, so that when he or she gets the desires, they will not harm themselves with the material desires, right? So when Dhruv Maharaj came to Vishnu, Dhruv Maharaj wanted the kingdom, but when he saw Vishnu cleansed his heart, and then he still gave him the kingdom. So Dhruv Loka, right, which is one of the pole stars, we see. So the kingdom cannot harm Dhruva because he was qualified, right? So it's like a child when he goes to his mom and he says, "Mom, give me some money." Mom says, "I'll give you money, beta, but you should not buy sweets from this shop which is covered by flies." you should not touch it. If you want to buy, go from the other shop which is nice. Go to Haldiram or Bikaner or whatever nice shop where it's clean. Then you should eat. So the mother doesn't allow the kid to eat impure mithai, isn't it? So similarly, Krishna doesn't allow his devotee to maintain impurity in the heart, impurity of exploiting. But the devatas actually, without cleansing the impurity, they give awards, right? So there is a story of this Bhamasura, right? Bhasmasura. He received a benediction from Shiva. So he prayed with Lord Shiva massively, and then Shivji came and he gave him the benediction. So what benediction he asked for? He asked for a benediction that whoever head I can touch, that person's head breaks overall. So Shiva said, okay, wanted you take it. But what does this demon do? He ran after Shiva only to kill Shiva because he wanted his wife Uma, right? Similarly, you find Hiranyakashipu, right? Hiranyakashipu, he performed severe penances to Brahma, and he wanted to trick Brahma and wanted to get immortality from Brahma, right? And so then Krishna appeared as Lord Narasimha to kill him. Right? So you will find the demons, they don't go to the Supreme Lord because they know they don't go to the Krishna only because he knows they will purify my heart. So they don't want it only. So we will pray to Devtas to give us different things, right? So we go to demigods and get material benedictions that destroy ourselves only. So, right, so they trouble, as a result, these demons trouble the world, they destroy themselves subsequently overall, right? So the question is now, who are these demigods, right? Like in India, we have so many states and so many chief ministers, right? How many we have? 30 now? 29, 30, I don't know how many we have. And we have only one prime minister. Similarly, there are 33 crore devtas who are all different mukhya mantris. There's an education department, there's a water department, these are all departments, right? So Kartikeya is the commander-in-chief, Saraswati Ma is for education. All of them are doing the same role like that, and they're all subordinate to Krishna. There's only one Supreme Lord, which is Krishna, but people still don't go to him, they go to the devtas. So Krishna says because they give them quickly whatever they want, although these people get this quickly, they suffer badly subsequently. Then Arjuna asks, oh Krishna, I agree with you. You are giving whatever they ask you, but the path of jnana and yoga, they seem to be leading to liberation, while the path of karma seems to be leading to bondage. Then are you not showing some partiality? All your paths should lead to liberation. Krishna says, no. The path of karma is specifically given for those who have great impurity in their heart, and their impurity will be cleansed by performing their prescribed duty and gradually learning to offer the fruits to the Supreme Lord. It's a very important reason, right? Why does Krishna tell about karma yoga and all? He says because there's impurity, and when we do to Nishkam Karma Yoga, when we give it to Krishna, we realize to give to Krishna, that's when our heart gets clean, and that's when we get eligible for Bhakti Yoga. Right? Yeah. And then I think Krishna talks about this famous verse, which is the four Varnas, right? I think in the Hindu religion, lots of people have this misunderstanding about the Varnas. Chaturvardya Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha Tasya Kartaram Apimam Vidhi Akartaram Avyayam. Right? So he's telling Arjuna, I created these four orders, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These four types of orders are four types of psychophysical natures of the living beings. I've explained this in brief. In the last class also I went in detail, so I won't explain this today. He's saying this explanation, this categorization is done based on Guna and Karma. All living entities in the world have come with a certain program, right? So it's like us, we can test it for ourselves. We go to LA, assuming we go to LA. There's one place which is a big, bar with massive parties happening, cabarets going on, doom, music is going on, people are drinking, smoking. Next to that is a casino, huge casino. People are playing money, competing with each other, betting big time, playing all kinds of games. And the third building is basically, a temple where there are vegetarian people who drink milk, who are pious, who are godly, who are saintly. Which one will we get attracted to? We are in LA. People go to LA for what? Suddenly temple कौन जाएगा यार? हम तो casino करने आए हैं, हम तो party करने आए हैं. Why would we go to this? So we know our varnas, right, in a certain sense, overall. So we have the choice to go anywhere, and people will generally see the ambience and people will go there. For example, even in a gutter, right, there's a lot of gutter water stagnated, a lot of mosquitoes breed there. right? You have a liquor shop, all the drunkards will go there. You open a temple, immediately a lot of bhaktas will go there, right? For example, when we started this Gita program, many of you are pious living entities. That's why you got hooked onto it or attending it regularly, because you wanted to learn the Bhagavad Gita. Thousands of people would have seen the message when Reena ji would have sent it to people, right? But about 70-80 of them are registered, but only 10-12 of you are attending today, right? People are spending timing watching Netflix, going out for partying, sleeping, whatever, right? Whatever they are doing, right? So it's because this is your nature, this is your psychophysical nature. You're getting attracted to the Bhagavad Gita because it's in your nature, right? And that's what Krishna is saying. And he's saying when you do your prescribed duty as per your nature, and you offer the fruits to God, you become detached gradually. You come to the platform of purification. Then you are purified. Knowledge awakens. When knowledge awakens, understanding of spiritual world, everything becomes clear for you. So therefore, Arjuna, you are a Kshatriya. So you do your Kshatriya duty now. So that's where I think it's what time is for past 1. So we'll continue the remaining in the next class. But I think at least the 3 questions which we started, right, with do all paths lead to the same goal? Why is there worship of many gods? Is caste system not exploitative? So you've understood this, and then I think we'll move ahead from here. Any questions? Whoever is left, I think few of you.
I didn't understand the is caste system not exploitative wala. Can you slowly explain that?
So what is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying the caste system is based on your psychophysical natures, right? He's saying I've created these 4 orders. These are basis your guna and your karma, right? So I give you the example of people in this world, right, who come with a certain program. I gave you the LA example, right? You understood the LA example? The party place, the casino and the temple, right? Now basis our guna and karma, we get attracted to one of them. So we're already programmed. Krishna is saying I have not created, I have only defined it, but basis your program, basis your guna and the karmas, you get attracted to one of them, right? So that's what he's explaining. He's telling this is people's own guna and karma that they get attracted to all of them. I only have defined it, which means if you're a son of a brahmana, you're not a brahmana unless you show qualities of a brahmana, which means you read the scriptures, you pray to God, you're not earning money, you're only begging for money from others, you get money when people give you. That is a brahmana, not just because you're born a brahmana, right? So everybody is different. It's not that because you're the son of a brahmana, you'll be. I've told this before also.
टाटा वाले से
हाँ मैंने बताया था, right? टाटा से भी बताया था मैंने, right? Same stuff, right? And then you're son of a doctor.
हाँ, okay, got it. Now understood.
ठीक है.
अब समझ आ गया.
Any questions, Vibha, Reena ji?
Good. It's good, Lalit.
Okay, good. Okay, so I think we're past time. So thank you. I think I really like chapter 4. So you'll feel more passion coming from this. I like some of the slokas, and we'll continue the remaining part in our next class. Then actually next class is on 22nd.
15th. अच्छा next to next. 15th को
Alternate.
class नहीं है?
Alternate होता है.
अच्छा. Okay. Oh, is it?
Yeah. So actually I am in Puri on the 22nd. I'll see, maybe I don't know, either we'll do the 29th for बहुत late हो जाएगा या Saturday को. Reena ji, can we try? I also don't know what my schedule will be. I'm going to Jagannath Puri.
Decide and then we can put it on group so that everybody can, put a thumbs up who all can attend.
ठीक है, okay. Whoever is present, Saturday is also convenient. I'll see if I can take the class from there. Not sure though, but I'm still asking.
I think it's good for me, Lalit, both either Saturdays or Sundays.
Okay. So Ripta works for you also?
अब मेरे को तो ये लगता है अगर मुझे सीरियसली क्लास करनी होती है ना तो मतलब वो अपने आप ही हो जाता है जितनी भी प्रॉब्लम हो. And
Good, good.
you know, right? I'm just sharing that there's so much going on, and I was like, I missed last class. कि कृष्णा भैया ठीक कर दो, ये क्लास नहीं मिस कर सकती. And you won't believe it just fell in place. At least मैं क्लास कर पा रही हूँ.
Hari, good, good, good. ठीक है, so I'll let you know. I'm actually traveling 15th से लेके 22nd. So next Sunday also I'm traveling. So I've taken it next Sunday. We are in Mayapur and then we're going to Puri. But anyway.
Wow.
Available on YouTube. If you miss any classes or sessions, it's available on YouTube.
हाँ जी.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Have a good Sunday.
Hare
Sunday is
Krishna.
Sunday. Sun is
Hare
Sun
Krishna.
Bhagwan, Surya Bhagwan ka day. Sun, we have this big notion that Sunday means sleeping day. But actually it's the active day. It's the Sun Bhagwan ka day. Sunday. Why do we call it Sunday? Because it's Surya ka day. And this is the day where we should actually perform spiritual activity. So what you're doing on a Sunday is the best thing you can do on a Sunday. Sunday is the time you should go to the temple, you should hear the Bhagavatam, you have time to read, you have time to chant. It's not the time to sleep. So that's why it's called as Sunday. Sun means activity. So you've done amazing things of giving your time to Bhagavad Gita today. Okay,
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Lalit. Okay. Bye.
Okay.